Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 4th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Saturday has been nice and flowy. We'll say we had to do laundry, so there was that. But overall, laundry was good. It was solid. I will say something I've definitely noticed. Like going to the gym has affected even my laundry. Like, because now I just have so many like things that I have to wash that are extra now. So I'm just like, man, this is really like messing with my capacity here. Like, I'm getting to the point where I almost have to do 2 loads. So hopefully not. Hopefully, I think I just need to like stop. Excuse me. Oh boy, early burp. I gotta stop buying some shorts or something like that. I don't know. I need to slow up. But like I said, overall laundry went well. Didn't really, eat anything fun or yummy. Just kind of chilled, gamed on my phone. Let's see here. Gym went well. Gym was solid. I feel like I've kind of gotten this. It's almost like a weave that I'm really working through in terms of like, okay, I do like I for a long time I had it blocked where I would just come in, immediately do cardio, and then if I could get a spot to get my little special machines or whatever, the ones I really wanted, I would go break away to get those in between cardio sets. Now I've switched it up and I tend to just go straight to the bench if I can. If I can't do the bench, then I'll find another one of my special machines that I feel like, oh, I gotta get this one, I gotta get that one in. And just kind of work my way around. So it's essentially the same workout. I'm still hitting the same machines, but I'm just hitting it in a different way lately. So that's been kind of nice because I feel like it's been working out more in terms of like optimizing the space and the time, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was good. That's been good. Food corner from last night. Let's just go ahead and segue into that. Um, I had hamburger, hot dogs, fries. Very yummy, very good. I'm trying to think if there's any like standout thing I did here. No, nothing really. I will say with the fries, I got my Lowry seasoning back. I got my lemon pepper going. And then I also, I sauced out a little bit. You know me, I'm a little saucy guy. I had ketchup, sriracha, kind of mix that a little half and half action. Then I kind of threw in some honey in there with some red peppers in there. It was good. It was pretty good. It was solid. It's not like a new thing. I've done that before, but overall, it was a yummy little meal. So yeah, we're all caught up on my Joneses. Let's go ahead and do the startup and get into some news. Whoa, yeah. Okay, from ABC News. Judge in Trump's hush money case expected to sentence him to unconditional discharge. That does not sound fun or healthy. The judge in Donald Trump's New York criminal hush money case indicated Friday, I'm sorry, that he intends to sentence the president elect to an unconditional discharge out of respect for the presidential immunity doctrine. Judge Juan Marchand ordered Trump to appear either in person or virtually for sentencing on January 10th, which is 10 days before Trump's presidential inauguration. Marchand and his ruling Friday called an unconditional discharge the most viable solution to ensure finality and allow defendant to pursue appellate options. Now, Trump faces the possibility of up to 4 years in prison for his conviction though you wonder, was this an AI one? Anyway, though the sentence of an unconditional discharge means he would avoid prison, fines, or probation. Now I think Trump's legal team more or less wants to like push this all the way out, so it's just completely, um, what is it? Just in the wind for like at least his term or terms in the future, or they want it thrown out somehow, or essentially you just don't even have to deal with it. Like he's just good to go. But essentially that's kind of what this is, right? Like I feel like more or less what Merchan is saying is like, hey, we just want the sentencing to show what it is, and then we can just kind of move on from here. I don't know, we'll see. I'll definitely keep you posted on this, but this was just an update to, in terms of what's going on with Trump, in terms of what's going on with him in the legal world. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a frustrating thing. We've already kind of talked about this, where it's like, yeah, it would have been nice that he at least gets the full thing, but at the end of the day, like he can't shake this charge. As much as they wanted to say like, oh no, this is a part of his like presidential immunity, like we've proven that it's not. And if you want to be mad about the sentencing, whatever, it's not like you're going to serve any time in jail. Like this is more or less just a thing so that yeah, you're a criminal, dog. It's on the record, dog. Yeah, you're also other things as well, but whatever. Anyway. Let's go ahead and move on to our next thing. Also, this is a bit of a thing with the Cybertruck Trump hotel situation. The Livelsberger guy, he did have a bit of a manifesto. He left like, a note of some sort, essentially trying to say like, hey, like he wanted what he was doing to be like a wake up call, something to that effect. So there was just a little bit of an update there while I was just thinking about it. I don't know. But yeah, back to more politics stuff. From CNN, Biden blocks Japan's Nippon from taking over U.S. Steel. President Joe Biden said Friday he is blocking a $14.3 billion acquisition of U.S. Steel by, Japan's Nippon Steel, marking a significant use of executive authority in the closing days of his administration. As I have said many times, steel production and the steel workers who produce it are the backbone of our nation, he said in a statement. A strong, domestically owned and operated steel industry represents an essential national security priority and is critical for resilient supply chains. So yeah, I mean, this isn't surprising that he made this executive decision. During the election, I remember Trump really started touting this stuff up, and then Biden in his campaign, or Biden in the Kamala campaign and all that, they were also saying, hey, like we don't want this deal actually to happen either. Now CNN is saying that like Biden has long been like against this deal happening. Though, to me, I don't really feel that adds up, just because I didn't really hear much of it. It doesn't mean he wasn't saying anything, but I don't feel like he was saying it that loudly. And I feel like it only became a big factor until Trump brought it up. And essentially saying, hey, I'm being pro-U.S. I'm being pro the workers here. What is Biden doing? And then Biden's like, no, I don't like this deal at all. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and essentially U.S. Steel and Nippon are like, what? What do you mean you don't like this deal? This is a good money deal. And, essentially I thought like, okay, that's why Biden kind of was maybe okay with it until maybe people's voices were getting too loud. It's a campaign, it's the middle of the election, all that shit. He's going to do something. But then when I actually heard more of, especially out of union, saying, hey, this deal is going to potentially hurt us because if Nippon Steel comes over, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. In terms of closing down company or, plants or whatever, opening up new ones, what have you, they're going to have carte blanche to do that, and we can't stop them. So we don't want this deal to go through. And Nippon Steel, U.S. Steel or whatever are like, hey, no, don't worry about that. It's going to be all good. This is such a good deal. If you don't do this, like, we're going to be put in jeopardy, and, we're going to have to close down plants anyway, rah, 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 rah. And, union leaders are like, well, no, you can just do better management and you'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be able to make it work. So I kind of thought this was a good money deal. Like I said, once I heard the union side of the conversation, I was like, okay, never mind. Cool. I totally get it. But yeah, I mean, Biden is saying, hey, I'm officially, writing an executive order. But once again, if Biden was so anti this and he was so pro the workers, wouldn't he just do this shit earlier? Like, I don't know. But I think he really didn't want to make waves because there are people who kind of had the same feeling that I had. It's like, no, this is a good money deal. It does just make sense, right? Like, we should do it because it makes more sense for, the U.S. economy, U.S. Steel specifically, if we just make this merger and keep it moving. You can also see that Trump really doesn't mean this shit either, even though he was like a guy who kind of said it really loudly, because he's also made deals with, Japan in terms of SoftBank and stuff like that in the technology digital world. And it's like, well, you didn't invest in America there. Like, no, it's when it's convenient. So once again, it is a money thing at the end of the day. And I think that's on both sides, period. But, this is worth mentioning because he officially put out an executive order. So he officially said no. And it's also worth mentioning that U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel are going to potentially, file some kind of suit, civil, I don't know, some kind of suit, some kind of lawsuit, whatever, because of Biden's opposition to this shit. So we'll see what happens there. I'll go ahead and just read this part, might as well. But Biden's opposition to the deal may not be the final say. U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel issued a joint statement vowing to fight it in court. We are dismayed by President Biden's decision, said the statement. The president's statement and order do not present any credible evidence of a national security issue, making clear that this was a political decision. We are left with no choice but to take all appropriate action to protect our legal rights. The whole national security thing too, I think is also a joke. Come on, like we use that kind of terminology and shit when it's like, hey, we just want to kind of get a thing across the aisle, or we want to get a thing across for a vote or whatever. It's like, oh, we have to protect our national security, our national interests. It's like, yeah, no, we just don't like them, and we're just using this as a reason to say, hey, we shouldn't do a thing. But whatever, cook whatever you gotta cook, I guess. Anywho, let's move on to another story. Less political, more corruption, from The Independent. Homeland Security agents charged after allegedly selling drugs confiscated as evidence. Ooh, into the cookie jar here, touching some bath salts. A pair of Department of Homeland Security agents have been accused of using a confidential informant to sell illegal drugs that have been seized as evidence. DHS special agents Nicholas Kendall and David Cole, who worked in Utah, will both face charges stemming from the alleged narcotics trafficking scheme. Cole was arrested 3 weeks ago after he was indicted by a grand jury in December. Kendall was arrested this week. Federal prosecutors alleged that both Kendall and Cole abused their authority and used their access to illicit drugs seized in evidence in their scheme under the false pretense that the drugs would be used as part of legitimate investigations. So they were just flipping and ripping it and saying, oh yeah, dude, we're just doing this for like a case or something. Yeah, sure. And then just pocketing the money. And like, in some regards, it's happening like, dude, hell yeah. Cause it's like, this is so The Wire, dude. It's so crazy. Y'all doing these fucking crimes. Y'all in the fucking system. But it's like, you guys are supposed to be like protecting and serving, right? You're supposed to be doing the thing, the law enforcement, blah, blah, rah, rah. And it's like, no, we're just literally just doubling up for our paycheck's sake. We're just running the jewels here. You're just as bad as the people you're trying to handle. It's crazy. But let's continue. Kendall and Cole. Also, I love that Kendall and Cole. Like, I feel like that's like a book thing. Like, what a duo. Allegedly began the scheme in 2021. Prosecutors claim the pair also stole thousands of dollars in cash, a diamond ring, and an antique from Peru from law enforcement evidence lockups. Dude, also, that's another thing I think about a lot. How secure are evidence lockups? Because I feel like you do hear the stories, whether they're real or whatever, about you could just take this and take that, and this whatever. You had a little, you had a little weed, you had a little cocaine, what have you. And I always wonder how common that shit was. You know what I mean? But yeah, apparently in this case, they were running the shit. They were just hitting it up like it was a fucking, just take it. Between 2022 and 2024, the agents allegedly sold drugs known as bath salts. And this is where I got womp womp, because it's like, oh, this isn't even cool drugs. Like, these are gross. Like, once again, it's not something cool like cocaine. Obviously weed is not something you're gonna be flipping and ripping these days, which is definitely I mean, hey, it's a good thing. We love to see that, but also it's like, well, now you gotta sell this weird shit, and technically I have to be happy it's not like fentanyl or something. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh yay, bath salts. But yeah, to Homeland Security investigations, confidential sources for thousands of dollars and allowed those sources to resell the drugs on the streets of Utah for a profit. According to prosecutors, the agents did not arrest the buyers who purchased the drugs. So, they weren't doing anything. They were just making money at that point. They were just being a part of the system, the problem. The alleged operation brought in between $195,000 and $300,000, according to the FBI. So they were making a pretty good racket out of this shit between the two of them. The FBI alleged that the special agents used an encrypted messaging app to direct their middlemen to meeting locations, including mundane spots like Panera Bread and a Nike store. Dude, you love a good Panera Bread deal. You just do. They're just good. It's nice. It's stable. It's safe. It's a little bit classier than a McDonald's parking lot. You know what I mean? Sure, there's a drive-through, but you can just park it real quick. Hey, have a little conversation. Ba 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 boo. Maybe get a baguette to go. I don't know. You do what you do. Let's see here. Both Kendall and Cole. Oh no, let me get into how they got here. The duo landed on the FBI's radar in October of 2024 after a lawyer representing the criminal informant involved in the scheme contacted the U.S. Attorney's Office in Utah to report that Kendall and Cole had forced him to engage in potentially unlawful acts, according to a bureau affidavit. So essentially, either he just got burned, like in terms of like he was just sick of having the person was just sick of dealing with them, or they just really were like, dude, you're putting me in situations that are like if everyone gets caught down here, I could just get jammed up, whatever. Like this isn't worth it. Like, no, I'm gonna go above your head. So essentially, it really sounds like they were probably pushing the fuck out of their luck with the situation, especially if they had multiple CIs running this shit. Like, I'm sure if you're a CI, you're like, dude, I know how this goes, and what you're doing is not okay. So yeah, they ran their card. So damn, it is what it is, man. Let's see. Both Cole and Kendall face a felony drug distribution conspiracy charge, and Kendall will face an additional charge of conspiracy to convert property of the U.S. government for profit, according to CBS News. Let's see here. There's just more legal details. We can just kind of move along from there. But yeah, do you want to? Okay, we'll talk about the maximum sentencing here. Kendall is facing up to 25 years in prison, a maximum of 25 years in prison. Cole is facing a maximum of 20 years in prison if they're convicted, respectively. So yeah, we'll maybe keep posted on that if I hear any more. Hopefully I can keep up with that as the year goes on. But yeah, we love a good, we love a good corruption story. We love a good conspiracy to commit some crime, eh? And we're a part of this system, and we're gonna do the other thing, the crime part. So anyway, whatever. Let's go ahead and move on to our last story. Let me go ahead and take a last break, actually. I'm quite parched, so I'll start with the water. Whew. I'm gonna read this breaking news thing just to kind of kill time. We're not gonna go into it. I'm saying it here. Also, this is from Euro News. The Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer will resign after talks on forming a government collapsed. So there you go. A little bit of side international news as we hit the runway and head to Zimbabwe. All right. Once again, this story is from Euronews. Zimbabwe's President Emerson Mnangagwa signs bill abolishing the death penalty. So we'd love to see this shit. I feel like it's been a while since we covered a bit of good news, so I figured, yeah, let's just like put the bib on, get the knives out, the forks, and let's just dig in. Zimbabwe abolishes death penalty almost 20 years after the last capital punishment was carried out. Zimbabwe has officially abolished the death penalty after President Emerson Mnangagwa signed into law a bill on Tuesday which will commute sentences of around 60 prisoners on death row to jail time. The last execution was carried out almost 2 decades ago in 2005, partially, I don't know why I thought I said that wrong, because at one point, no one was willing to take up the job of state executioner. Dude, I don't want to say I love that, but it reminds me of like the, like medieval vibes of like the idea of like having to be the state executioner was such a heavy burden. Like you had to like get like all your shit like comped. You like had a place outside, like kind of close or whatever to like society. And like you came in, did your shit, like chop chop, and you know you moved on. But that's why you had the hood and shit, because people would hate you. Like you probably like chop somebody's fucking cousin or whatever. Like no one wants to do this shit. At the end of the day, it's like there's just something inherently like in your body, in your guts, and you know it's like this isn't something that we want or like we shouldn't do this, but. We're a society, so we're gonna do this. We gotta punish you like this, and then we just kind of, you know, maybe get to a point where we stop. So it's cool to see Zimbabwe go, hey, let's take this all the way and just nix it, stop it. President Mnangagwa faced the death penalty himself in the 1960s during Zimbabwe's War of Independence. I think it was like for a train bombing. During like their, you know, push for like civil rights and shit. So it was eventually commuted down to like a 10-year sentence or something like that. Eventually gets out of prison, yada there. But yeah, I mean that's a crazy turnaround story for him, and I'm really glad to see this happen in a place. Like it's one of those things where I always keep saying a lot, where it's like, yeah, you're looking at a bird's eye view. Things always feel and look so conservative, and that never feels good to talk about and cover. It feels like it's encroaching. It's like it's soul draining. But it's always cool to see these moments, these highlights where it's like, hey, you see a country, a nation state, whatever, say, hey, we don't want to do this thing anymore. And is that permanent? I mean, it's as permanent as like, you know, it's in law and they don't, you know, rewrite it, whatever. But like, it's a step in the right direction. And I always want to celebrate those kind of things. I feel like those are wins. Those are things that we can chalk up as dubs. So, you know, we'll take those. I guess I'll read this last little statistic and we can kind of close it out from there. According to Amnesty International, globally, 113 countries, including 24 in Africa, have fully abolished the death penalty. The group says it recorded close to 1,200 known executions around the world in 2023, a sharp increase from the below 900 cases recorded the previous year. Iran and Saudi Arabia have accounted for almost 90% of all known executions recorded by Amnesty in 2023. Somalia and the U.S. were the next two countries to follow. Crazy. U.S. just kind of pops a little head in there like, yeah, we love murder. I mean, you know, we do what we do. God bless America. Anyway, the group says it will continue to campaign against the cruel sentence until it is fully abolished. And God help me, I hope one day that happens. I don't know. I don't think, if I'm being honest with y'all, I don't think it's going to be in my fucking lifetime. I don't. But I mean, apparently now, if you have a baby now, it's a beta baby. So maybe in the year of the beta, or in the generation of the beta, that maybe that'll happen then. I don't know, but that's where we'll leave it. I really want to say, hey, that's a dub. That's good news. We love to see it. You hope that more countries follow suit, and hell yeah to that. Anyway, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Let's see. Free ways to hit me up. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any other socials. And please subscribe to the YouTube. Hit that like button. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.